Hello, hello. It's an honor to connect with you guys today. An honor to connect with you. It's wonderful receiving the contact from you guys. Many of you have mentioned wanting to meet with me for sessions or have readings, personal readings. I've updated things. You'll see the link in my website, but instead of having it separate from my practice, many of you seen that I do have a practice that I run. I've changed it to where it's all inclusive at this point. The only thing that's different is that if you are coming from the YouTube channel and the Twinflame journey, that there is a discounted rate than charged for everyone within the regular practice. You know, and that's what's going on right now. So there was a separate way of you guys coming in, but not anymore. It's just going to be all throughout the practice. And the question comes in, well, how is it that you can have a practice and be in the mental health profession and you're reading tarot? Well, interesting enough, you know, Carl Jung. Yeah, there won't be a textbook that you'll find in the field of psychology that does not have Carl Jung in as one of the fathers who brought everything in, you know. So this is a psychiatrist that introduced and said, tarot cards provide doorways to the unconscious and may be a way to predict the future. We can predict the future when we know how the present moment evolved from the past. Yeah. So Carl Jung introduced tarot to the psychology world, was one of the promoters and founders of it. You guys, we all are not as different as we'd like to perceive. And yes, of course. You know, there are opposing factors that exist, but when you look at it all, it all comes together to work for your good, for you to receive those divine messages in various ways that are here on the earth plane, which is a beautiful way of connection, a beautiful way of connecting with everyone, which is what works for you. You know, and what doesn't work for you. When you look in every religion, the divine is talking from one person about how the divine shows up in their life. And it's always communicated through a story, a parable, a fable, or so. Yeah, so it's all working together for our good. It's all connected. Today, I did a reading. And this reading that was done today, it's the divine masculine. The divine masculine's current and power points. And it starts off giving you the position, almost like the divine feminine heads into this reading. So the divine feminine is the head of the reading and just intros in the divine masculine's current journey. And the divine feminine comes in as the Two of Swords, which is that courage position. That courage and then that balance that you see, balancing the swords with the divine feminine, which is that balance of that divine masculine and the divine feminine within the divine feminine, which is that union of self. What you'll find that in the divine feminine collective right now, the divine feminine is cutting out anything that is not serving that balanced well-being. It's almost like, okay, I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna be okay. My life is gonna be fine. Or else, you know, and whatever falls in that is being kind of sliced away by the divine feminine to maintain that balance point of union in self, which is meaning that the divine feminine is at that point of really choosing self, that highest level of self-love, that is where the divine feminine is. And you'll find many of you are making decisions about your divine masculine, about family and friends, all various things that is happening right now within the divine feminine, to make sure the divine feminine is like, oh no, I'm going to be okay in my well-being, whatever it takes to maintain that balanced position. So the divine feminine is moving away and coming to anything that is necessary at this point for the divine feminine well-being. And I did a clarifier for each point, just to see, and I like to use those angel cards for the clarifier and just read what they say. So the clarifier for this line where the divine feminine intros in the read of the current state of the divine masculine, and I love how this was done, it's just that falling in love and, that wedding proposal, which is kind of that union of self. I'm getting with this card is more so that in love and with self. Falling in love with self and union of self and treating self that way. Many times we say, I love myself. I love myself. And the divine feminine is at the point where do I treat myself like I love myself? Does my life reflect that I love myself? And just making sure everything is aligned to reflect that. The need to balance emotions, an invitation to social events. So whatever it is that is taking for the divine feminine, be in that balanced position, and I'm getting have my happy, whatever it's going to take to have my happy is where the divine feminine is. So then that's it. That's it that I have with the divine feminine, and it ushers in the divine masculine. And the divine masculine shows up right now in the position that I'm getting here in this card is the 8 of Swords, which is interesting because it's that conflict, that calamity, that bad news, that crisis. And you guys, I'm actually telling you in the intro as to what these cards really mean, the meaning that the cards were given whenever they were created. So you'll see how that story is told, and you can even see what Carl Jung was mentioning, that it's really a way to kind of get a message out, because these cards come with their own meanings, and then you also get the divine that comes in and works through the person to really bring it on home. So that's how it's showing up, and you can see within that physical, almost like that entrapment position, but also, just really, exemplifying the state of that card. And next to it is the Tower, which is the misery, the distress, the calamity again, the disgrace, the deception. So it's like, well, what is this about? What is this about with the divine masculine? What is this about? So we know that something here is just not going well for the divine masculine. This read is set up to really show the flow of the tarot, So then we go into the Page of Wands, and it's like, okay, he will bear favorable testimony concerning him. So it's like, okay, so this conflict, calamity, bad news, crisis. And then we go into the Tower, which is that misery, distress, calamity, disgrace, deception. And then we go to the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands, which is that he will bear favorable testimony concerning him. Well, so we know it's going to work out for the good, but okay, we're still like, well, what's going on? What's going on? So then we go into that three of Swords position, which is that removal, absence, division, rupture, that hurtful heart affecting that is going on here with the meaning of the 3 of Swords. And then we go in and we clarify it with the angel card, and it's that an unwise choice. Learn what you can from this situation. Review everyone's motives. So something is really going down with the divine masculine that is going to shift the divine masculine's entire world. you know, and it's going to be something that's very heartfelt. So it's going to be something very close to the divine masculine, and it's going to show that the divine masculine made an unwise choice of some kind, and they're learning from the decisions, the learning from the situation and the outcomes of that. But it's going to work out for the divine masculine's good. And just learn. And when we get unwise choice, it's like situation, organization, or people that the divine masculine had some type of dealings with that's causing misery, distress, you know, that deception. And that's going into a place of that conflict and calamity and crisis. And during that process, it's going to work out for the divine masculine's good, but it's going to be something that's wrenching. It's heartfelt, you know. It's hitting, you know. It's not a pleasant moment at all for the divine masculine. But the divine masculine is learning to discern. This is a process of learning to discern, because whenever there's an unwise choice of aligning self to something or someone, it shifts into that process of discernment. Learning discernment is what will come out of this process. So then it's like, okay, well, what does this all mean? You know, where is this leaning into is where we go into. So we get another line of the divine masculine, and it goes into the 10 of Pentacles. And that's that gain, riches, family matters. You know, gain, riches, family matters is what we have going on with the 10 of Pentacles. And then we go into it after that, and it's like, okay, well, what is this? What is this? And then we get the 5 of Cups. And this is the card of loss. Loss, but something remains. An inheritance, a transmission, you know, it's interesting because it's a loss but receiving something. Okay, so then we go into it, so it's like, well, okay, well, what is that about? Then we go into the 8 of Cups, and this is deserting the cups of his previous undertaking. So it's like, okay, so this has to do with, okay, how I've received in my life, family matters, gaining, riches, money, all of that I've looked at this, and there's been a loss. But in that loss, I have inherited something. I'm receiving something. And in that receiving, I'm getting even within the courage point of the divine masculine. And the reason that's coming in is because we have the divine masculine walking away from the previous undertakings, which is, man, I made the choice to align with this, align my I'm getting how I bring in my funds, how I build, the way I build. I made the choice to align with how I build here, who I associate with here, who I align with, and I'm getting, whether it's family, or this could be people in relationships and marriages and working in organizations. I made that era's choice, and I found out that this was a very deceptive position for me, that this brought me misery and distress in many ways, because there's a moment coming in that is going to show the divine masculine all of that is where that tower is showing that's coming. And throughout this time, I took a loss, I took an L, and we have that showing with the 3 of Swords. It's like I took a L, you know, this was a hard, you know, it hit me. You know, but I gained something. I gained the ability to walk away from the things that no longer served me, my previous undertakings. I gained the ability to walk away from the things that no longer served me. And then we have coming in, which is the Sun. Then the Sun comes in, which is that material happiness and fortunate marriage contentment. You see how these cards align? So it doesn't matter, you know. See, it's interesting enough. It's like, well, of course, even with Carl Jung, there were psychiatrists that said, you know, that went against it. And there are even people who say, oh, well, this tarot and the storylines of tarot. Well, you got to understand the reasons why they went against Carl Jung was because who it was. You know, there was unfavorable testimony about the person who created the tarot cards. So they were looking at the person versus the message. And that's the difference of people. That's the difference of divine people. That's the difference of people on the spiritual walk, which is, it's not necessarily looking at the people. If you look in any religion, all of the people that were used are some very interesting characters. We wouldn't say always on the up and up. But yet, it's the message. So that's the difference of the people, who gain the message and who don't gain the message. Tarot tells a message, it tells a story, and these messages resonate with many, many people to support them in their day-to-day walk. And if the message is received and it supports, then it's good. There's no bad in that. It's good. And if it doesn't, then that just means there's something else out here that the divine has created for that person to receive their messages. You know, so it's shifting out of looking at the person and looking at the thing and getting the message, which is interesting because that is the walk that the divine masculine is taking, which is understanding discernment, which is not looking at that exterior of that person and aligning, but aligning with interior, with is trusting that inner knowing, is this what resonates with me? You know, which is amazing what's coming out there, because we go into that sun after taking that walk that the divine masculine is. And many of you guys, divine masculines that, you know, are watching, or people who are involved with divine masculines are watching the collective of the divine masculine within the world, you'll see that they're in the different points of going through where those realities are being shattered, you know, so they can gain the discernment that's necessary to take those walks to lead them into what it is that they really desire. It's like those things that I aligned myself with was an unwise choice to receive those material gains and that happiness of union with another, and marriage and contentment with another, and relations of however they choose to do it. That stuff led me to loss, and I had to walk away from that, but I gained the courage to walk away from that. And then look, I did it through looking at a new way of things. You see how they're aligned. I gained the courage to walking away from that through looking at a new way of things, is also what the Page of Wands has in that favorable testimony. And that's what's bringing it in for the divine masculine to lead into where the divine masculine is headed. So then we go in and we still want to clarify. We want to clarify this row. And it's a complex decision, the need to do research, stop procrastinating. Yeah, which is interesting with the divine masculine walk, because these towers are being initiated to see, because again, the time is now. It's no longer an ability to procrastinate. And yes, it's complex decisions that the divine masculine is having to make to no longer align self with things that cause that misery. Things that are really close. You know, this is, you know, stuff that the divine masculine has been bonded to, just like the divine feminine, whether it's relationships, marriages, organizations. These are things that the divine masculine has been bonded to, ways to make money. I'm getting ways to make money, you know. The divine masculines are really being challenged on ways that they bring in money and how they build their money is happening. It's like they're really, you know, having to restructure things because they're getting L's, taking L's. And it's like, okay, I'm seeing, and I'm learning to discern what isn't working for me, because I had to live what wasn't working. So then I can start to make more wise choices. And then I'm like, okay, is there more? Is there more? So then when you go, is there more? We get the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords in reverse, which is that malice and that deceit. And that's interesting because, you know, many have noticed the divine masculine have showed up in really shady character traits, really deceitful, because you got to understand they've lived in deceptive view of the world, lived in illusions of what wasn't true to who they were. So basically, I'm getting it. If my entire life is a lie, wouldn't I be too? Wouldn't I tell them too? I live in lies. So how do you expect for me to show up and be honest? My life is a lie. So why wouldn't I not be in that malice, that deceit? Why would that not be how I show up? If I'm living in misery and lies of who my true character and true way and desire is, then that is my way. That is my way of life in the moment. And it's like, so well, why am I being told that? Then I get the King of Wands. And what this is showing is the transformation, things that you will recognize in the transformation of the divine masculine, which is really cool to get. So I get the King of Wands, which flips, and that's that honest family man. So the King of Wands comes in at that honest family man. And it's like, whoa, so this shady, deceitful character here, that you would have recognized many of those demeanors in divine masculines who are living outside of their will and journey, are going to be transforming into that honest family man. And it's like, okay, well, I've seen them have those families. Well, you have to understand that many of the structures that the divine masculine built in family and ways to build themselves and money and all of that, it wasn't on the up and up. So there's that question of, well, can they be on the up and up? Because I've really seen the divine masculine act really shady. So even though they were showing up in many of those karmic cycles and karmic structures, you knew from the outside, well, they are aligning with those people and those things, but they really aren't doing them right. Like, I'm getting marriages, infidelity. I'm getting relationships, just cheating galore, and cheating galore, And many elect to have those open situations. But in these cases that I'm getting with the divine masculines, it's like, no, so they were there, but they weren't there, I'm getting even how they interacted with their children. Just so much that they were in this structure of things that they didn't recognize that was showing up within the personality of who they were. And you saw many of those things, and it created many towers and many issues in coming together. Well, that is all of this is supporting in the transformation of those personality traits of the divine masculine, to be a more honest and family man, not because someone is saying you have to do it or this is what you're supposed to do. The divine masculine actually feels that. Because when we go into the sun, it's like I've seen the light, and I know that I didn't do all of that because all of it was revealed in this tower moment, the deception and things. It's like I'm showing up deceptive, so I feel like I deserve deceptive also. But then I also realized that these other people, wait, I'm not like that. I'm really not like this. Like, they are really not for me in a lot of ways that's being revealed in these tower moments. So that the truth is just coming to light, coming to light, coming to light, coming to light. And the divine masculines realize I've been intertwining with a lot of enemies in my life in many ways. The things I've been aligning with does not serve me. So as they are beginning to come into that, they are now desiring to align with people and things that do serve them. So it's not about cheating or not cheating, or infidelity or not infidelity, or staying with an organization or not. It's like they're going where they desire to be, so there's no reason to be anywhere else. There's no reason to want anything else. So it's like I can be that honest family man now because I'm really with and where what aligns with me, So that's the beautiness of that self-awareness and that discernment that the divine masculine is coming into. It's allowing the divine masculine to develop the skills to have the things that the divine masculine has wanted. And then we do a clarifier, and that clarifier comes in right there. A very happy family life, financial security, finding magic in the little things in life. Yeah. And the divine masculine was not able to do that from the position of that reverse of Queen of Swords, showing up in that malice and deceit, because the divine masculine was creating many of the divine masculine's woes. I'm getting creating the woes. And, it's like, and it was all based on these unwise choices. And they were choosing things that they couldn't see. They couldn't discern what was good for them or not. And now that the truth is coming to light, they're able to see clearly. They're able to see clearly what's for them and what's not for them. And now they're desiring to choose the things that is for them. And that is what's leading them to what they wanted in the beginning, what they thought they had, which is that very happy family life, financial security, and that finding the magic in the little things in life is that joy, that living, that happiness. So this seems to be the track of where we are with the divine masculine as to what it's leading up to. And I want you to be clear here leading up to, and there may be some who have arrived to that point here, but really we're a lot are right in here where a lot of divine masculine are really waking up to the truth of the life that they have created and the people and things they've aligned to in those moments of, it's just truth coming to light, truth coming to light, truth coming to light, truth coming to light, different perspective, discerning who what, really heart affecting situations, just deep, and just seeing those unwise choices. So that's a nice story, because you get to see where it's all going to. And the reason why this is beautiful is because if you are in the point where you recognize that the divine masculine is going through those moments, or they're in those moments of steel, of illusion, deception, of what's what, and then you see that they are going through those crisis moments at the time, then it just supports in the awareness that whenever there comes a point where you may align with a divine masculine and they want that, they see the light and they want to align with you because they know that you are what serves them, and they want that honest and family shit with you, and you're like, I saw you when you were the shady character. Well, then you'll also know the process that was taken for the divine masculine to become who the divine masculine is, to support you in aligning, especially if you're a divine feminine that has gained the balance and it's like, hey, nothing's gonna knock me off of this, and whatever it is you're coming with, I'm not, It will support the divine feminine to have an understanding of the track the divine masculine took to be able to be in that present moment. So wonderful, 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 you guys. Wonderful, wonderful reading. The golden mission is union within self, and then union with others.